Hello and welcome back to the Prosperity by Design podcast. I'm your host, Fallon. It's like Jimmy Fallon, but it's my first name. Okay, let's get into it. This episode is going to be all about pretty much what just happened when I went out for lunch. So I went over to my uncle's house for lunch, and he told me, he was like, oh yeah, I just got done taking this 5-day course, and all this stuff happened on this course. And so here's what I was thinking. I was thinking about making this kind of course and putting these kinds of videos up, and I just don't know about the technical aspect of it, because my uncle, he's not a boomer, he's Gen X, okay, he's Gen X, but he's just not as familiar with like laptops and computers and platforms and software like millennials and Gen Z, those generations are. So that all being said, he was like, I'm not as familiar with the technical component. I don't know how I would distribute it and all this other stuff. And so I was like, hey, these are all quick, easy fixes. If you have a email marketing platform, then you can take these videos, you can put them up onto YouTube for free, unlisted, and then you can send out these videos in an email to your people with obviously like what they're going to learn about, right? Or if you wanted to do something else, you could put it onto a website for like this much money a month, right? But you got to pay for wherever you're going to be playing, right? So he was like, yeah, I understand that, but I just want to keep my expenses as minimal as possible. Makes sense, right? Like oftentimes when we're first getting into something, we want to keep our expenses low and we want to keep our profit margins high because, well, that's the idea when you're running a business. You want to profit. So we were going over all these different avenues that he could go about doing this. And the conversation kind of ventured into, just my experience being online and trying to do this for the last 5 years. And I was like, if I could give you any wisdom, my wisdom would be that if you're going to sell something, it has to really be something that you feel 100% invested in, like you believe in it. You could talk about it every damn day, because if you can't talk about it every damn day, then nobody's going to like really hear about it, because it takes them like 50 times to hear or like to go do something. So I had told him like, yeah, I would just, make sure that if you're going to sell something that you like are totally into it, because how many times have I created something because somebody else said this, or somebody else said I should do that, or somebody else said, oh, well, I should create specifically for my clients. And like, don't get me wrong, like there is a portion of like, this is the problem that I solve, and these are the people who have this kind of problem. Like, don't get me wrong, that is definitely a thing. But what I feel like was a big detriment to me was that I was creating solely because somebody said, oh yeah, well, I would want this. And then I created it and they didn't buy it. So that is a little bit more desperation sometimes when somebody's like, yeah, you should create this. And then you go and create it and you're like, well, why the fuck is nobody buying it? Because it's desperate energy. You're looking for money to come in somehow, instead of this intrinsic, like, I just keep seeing golden, like I just keep seeing gold and like glitter, and instead of it being this golden glittery energy that it's coming from within you, it's this like, okay, I am going to go do what they say, and then I'm going to sell it to them. And when you don't have any sales and you're sitting there wondering why you don't have any sales, and you're like, well, what did I do wrong? And I've done that so many times that I can tell you it's never going to work, because you're in it for just the money, and it's not about money, okay? So that was like one of the big things that I was telling him about. But also before I left, like one of the things that he was concerned about was, he was like, well, I have no content and I don't know what I would do. Like there are these two subjects that I could really change somebody's life, and I really feel like I could have, such a profound effect on people. And the one subject he's been involved in for years, like he is definitely an expert at that, and he could absolutely market that. He's been involved with, he's been doing auto body work for years and years and years, since he was a teenager with his father, right? So he's like, I know that I could make money doing that, and I know that I could, teach people or like make a course about it. But he's like, this other thing is like really on like my heart right now. And I was like, in all honesty, like you could probably combine them. And he was like, well, what do you mean? And so I said to him, I was like, you can show off your expertise with body work with your videos, and you're telling a story about what happened in your relationships, or like, you know, because he was also interested in, you know, a little bit of a relationship kind of course, or taking it in a relationship direction. And I told him, I was like, you know, one thing that I think would be really creative and really clear is that you would take a video and post it onto YouTube or TikTok, whatever, and it's a story. Like, it's an instance of this girl and what you guys did on a date, or, you know, what you did to your car to prep for the day or whatever. And you're taking your expertise in body work, and people are absolutely going to notice that, right? Because his son's car needs to get completely redone. But then on top of it, you're showing your expertise having dealt with these really hard relationship circumstances, and like what happened in these relationships for you. And so this person is honking at me because it's a red fucking light, and I stopped to look if anybody was going. Are you fucking kidding me? Jersey road rage coming in real hot. Okay. All right. Anyways, that aside, his son has this car that has to get completely redone. And I was like, in all honesty, you can film yourself doing a part, like redoing a part of the car, working on the car, and you're telling this story. And then at the end, you just call people to what you have to offer them, or like, hey, follow around for more, or like, hey, stick around for this, or hey, stick around for that. And you're showing people your personality, you're telling people your story, you're being authentic to yourself, and you're not only doing all of those things, but you're also, you know, talking about what you have to offer them at the same time. Like, to me, that's a fucking home run. Like, that is a home fucking run, in my opinion. But I told him, I was like, I'm not going to put something on you unless it feels good for you, because that's how I roll. Like, I want for you, I'll give you all of these options. I'll present to you these ways of looking at it, these perspectives, but ultimately, whichever one you choose is whichever one that you're going to choose, and I can't choose it for you. And I would never do that, because I've had so many people choose it for me, and it's only led me down the wrong fucking path for like 5 years, which is a waste of my time. So that aside, I was like, yeah, this is a really good idea. Think about it. And he was like, you know, I really like how you said that, and how I can inject my personality and all this. And, you know, obviously it's a conversation that we need to continue, but it was a really interesting bit that I wanted to bring to you here on the podcast, because one of the things that you get to do as a business owner is decide what it is that you are going to do with your course, with your offers, what you're going to create, who you're going to create it for, how you're going to help them, you know, what ways, what angles, what perspectives, and ultimately how you're going to market it to people, how you're going to be able to communicate to people like, hey, I can help you, right? And I think that one big thing that goes really talked about, like not really talked about, is that it is about the client or the customer, but at the end of the day, it's a balance. It's a really big balance between you and like what it is that you're going to do. Because I literally, like, I had somebody rip into me the other day, and it caused this just massive, I don't know that depression is the right word, because obviously I'm not depressed, but it caused this like ripple into like me really like coming in on myself, and like caving in on myself, like kind of not feeling too great for a little bit of time, an extended period of time. And it's not about necessarily someone else 100%. You also have to be happy, and you also have to enjoy what it is that you're doing. You have to be interested in it in order for you to move forward with it. And if there's something that you find yourself bouncing around between a lot of different things, and that happens for some people. Trust me, that's happened a lot for myself. But what's not cool is when people then start to judge you for bouncing around to a bunch of different things, and they're like, well, it's your fault for jumping around all this other stuff, and it's on you, and it's because you aren't happy and you are depressed and all this other stuff. Like, actually, no, I'm not clinically depressed, okay? And just to give you a little bit of insight, like, I didn't realize that my happy state of mind could come across the wrong way to people. So just, a marker for what I should look out for the next time that I have an engagement like that. But my point being, after all of this, you as the business owner get to decide, and you get to be like, yeah, that makes me happy, I'm going to move forward with it, or no, I don't like that idea, I'm not going to move forward with it. Like, the whole reason why I have a podcast is because I fucking love talking. I love sharing these stories, these anecdotes, and I love, like, you guys seeing my personality in this way, because this is honest me. This is genuine, like, true fucking me, where I could just put on my voice memos app, I could just spew this story, and I could spew what's going on in my head right now, and I don't have to worry about, like, TikTok live or views or likes or what fucking ever. I don't care. Like, yeah, am I looking at my downloads? Of course I'm looking at my downloads, but I'm not out there being like, oh, well, I had 1 million views on this, video, but this video only got 100. Like, what fucking ever, like, I'm so goddamn done with it. Anyways, I feel like I'm getting carried away, and I know that I have, like, a typical length of time for each episode, and it's, usually 15 minutes. So I kind of want to wrap things up here, and maybe those other conversations are conversations for a different day. But all in all, to say that it is okay for you to, like, do what makes you happy and to help other people too. That's allowed. When has that ever not been allowed? That's fucking allowed, okay? Don't let anybody ever tell you different, number one. Number two, if you have not yet rated the podcast, left a review, please, I would love it. It would make me so happy. And for the first 50 people who leave a review on the podcast, I will be sending a goodie box to you. Additionally, if you have not already heard about it, the Seasons of Business membership is fucking alive, and I'm so excited about it. If you sign up, I didn't say this, I'm pretty sure I didn't say this yet, but if you sign up for the year-long, the annual membership, it is going to be fucking awesome sauce. You are going to get access to my courses, you're going to get access to my video vault, and I haven't decided what the third thing is going to be yet, but I'm going to create it very soon for those who join for the annual membership, because, like, I think that it's going to be fucking, like, awesome sauce to be together for that length of time, as long as you're called to do it. So all of that, I'm going to put down the link in the description down in the show notes. And until then, I can't wait to see you in the Seasons of Business membership, if that's something that you're like, hell yes, I'm ready to do that. And to talk to you in the next episode. Okay, thanks. Love you. Bye.